The internet has undeniably impacted our current environment, workplaces, and personal forms of communication. Countless hours could be spent analyzing the positive and negative aspects of this change, but the primary focus for this presentation is looking at how the internet has impacted dating and romantic relationships. In this presentation, we will be covering how the internet has changed the way we meet new potential partners, altered our preconceived notions of internet dating, and the way we communicate. We will also be discussing how internet infidelity, pornography use, and sexting can increase due to changes in internet usage. First, let's define what a romantic relationship is. It is described as a mutual, ongoing, and voluntary interaction between partners that is characterized by affection and intimacy. At its core, a romantic relationship is a friendship. The primary distinguisher is the addition of sexual intimacy. Within every friendship and romantic relationship comes interpersonal attraction. The causes of this attraction between two people can be due to familiarity, proximity, and similarity. With the development of the internet, we have seen many changes in how the internet can impact dating and romantic relationships. We have seen a change in how romantic partners meet one another. Online dating has become increasingly popular, with about 20% of people saying they met their spouses online. With the rise in dating apps and online chat rooms, it comes as no shock that the internet has become a new medium for romantic relationships to form. With an increase in internet usage and finding potential partners, it also allows for an increase in the amount of people that we can meet. In common dating apps such as Hinge, Tinder, and Bumble, users can find themselves meeting countless profiles from individuals that live near them. Those who live in closer proximity to one another are more likely to interact with each other. Now, this doesn't guarantee attraction, but individuals are more likely to become affiliated with one another. Additionally, the familiarity principle, or the mere exposure effect, suggests that the more we are exposed to something, the more we tend to like it. This can be explained if you see the same person or profile on multiple dating apps. Familiarity can also promote a liking for one another. The more two people socialize, the closer they can feel. A unique aspect of dating apps is how it supports a similarity principle. Sites such as Christian Mingle, Millionaire Match, Single Parents Meet, and a variety of other sites have a common theme. These sites are catered to individuals in a specific group, primarily Christian, millionaires, or single parents. These individuals can bond with one another over something that they share together. They are more likely to understand the highs and lows that the other individual on that site faces as they both share this common theme. Looking into the increase in internet-initiated relationships, we find that individuals of all ages are partaking in dating websites and apps. Usually when we think of dating apps, young adults may come to mind. However, internet dating's appeal is most concentrated by those over the age of 55. As we age, we become more in tune with the idea that life is finite, that we live more in the present. Typically, young adults are more focused on the future, whether that be their goals or their careers. The socio-emotional selectivity theory can explain how this transition into later adulthood can signify a change in what their goals are. Changing from future and career goals to a desire for emotional regulation in intimate relationships, older adults are more likely to seek interpersonal relationships and romance. As young adults are more likely to encounter a larger number of potential partners in their everyday life, older adults can struggle in this regard as they are more confined to their workplace. Using a dating app can be more appealing as they are more likely to understand the qualities they are looking for in potential life partners. By restricting their search, they can find a partner that suits their wants and needs. As young adults are not as focused on finding a life partner, the use of dating apps may become more casual relationships than serious ones. Dating websites and apps on the internet have had mixed results from individuals across the world as there are preconceived notions about the apps themselves and those who use them. However, with such a large increase in those who use these sites, it is important to recognize these preconceptions. Those who use dating apps or sites or interact in primarily online relationships are perceived to be desperate people who are embarking on their last attempt at a romantic relationship. However, a romantic relationship that takes place online doesn't diminish the realness of the connection. It is also believed that internet relationships lack nonverbal and contextual cues that are more present in person. From an outside view, it is understandable that these beliefs are held. Those who hold more conventional romantic beliefs may be less likely to accept non-traditional forms of romantic relationships. Through the understanding of online romantic relationships, it was found that the distance that was formulated through this offline period can help with increased levels of intimacy. These views are highly dependent on the individual's romantic belief, but online romantic relationships do have the capability to prosper and be maintained. Though there may be differences in the way relationships are approached, there is no significant difference found in the level of emotional growth and satisfaction. The internet allows for communication to occur more frequently and easily among prospective or current partners. In both online and offline romantic relationships, individuals can benefit. When using chat rooms, text messages, or emails, typed words are the primary form of communication. Through both asynchronous and synchronous forms, individuals can talk with one another. In times when partners are separated from one another, whether they live close to one another or are in a long-distance relationship, this allows them to stay connected within each other's life. When compared to previous forms of communication prior to the internet, we found that we would communicate through landlines or letters. Communication during this time usually resulted in longer exchanges, but it was more difficult to receive a response. With the invention of the internet, we can participate in short or long exchanges through text messages or video calls. Allowing us to communicate with one another with fewer obstacles may strengthen the bond that those in relationships seek. For those who are in primarily online romantic relationships or those in a long-distance relationship, physical proximity will always be a detrimental barrier. However, the internet can alleviate some of the pain that is experienced by allowing partners to communicate with one another frequently without being physically in the same area. A significant downside to communicating over the internet is the lack of social context clues, nonverbal behaviors, and the physical environment and proximity. Without nonverbal cues, it can be difficult to communicate emotions and cater to the sensitivity of the partner. However, those who primarily communicate online can find ways to utilize verbal and textual cues without nonverbal cues to organize a response that is both sensitive and responsive. Thus, internet communication, although it lacks physical proximity, can still be utilized in a manner that is positive. By understanding textual and verbal cues, each individual has the ability to formulate a response that can be understanding and receptive in a time of tension. Since individuals who are texting or emailing are involved in writing asynchronous messages, they have the ability to slow down their thoughts. They have the ability to take a step back, calm down, assess their emotions, and return to formulate a response when they feel more emotionally capable of handling the situation. Better articulation of their intention can be better discovered through this form of communication. Learning the partner's verbal and textual cues can be similar to the way they present nonverbal cues. It just occurs in a different environment. Though the internet has proven to increase the number of potential partners meeting each other, it can also be detrimental for individuals already in relationships and lead to increases in relational infidelity. It is important to note that each individual may differ in what they believe to be infidelity, and some are unsure if internet infidelity is even considered cheating. Therefore, it is extremely important for partners to discuss those boundaries with each other. For those currently in relationships, being on the internet exposes you to a variety of other vessels that can increase the likelihood of infidelity. With it being as easy as a slide into a DM, partners may find themselves more distracted or believe another individual is more easily accessible. Increased internet usage could become problematic as this diminishes shared time between couples and increases the time between a partner and another individual. In relationships among college students, it was more likely to find a decrease in internet use among those in romantic relationships. Women were more likely than men to be satisfied with their relationship if there is a higher amount of internet usage from their partner. Infidelity occurring on an online platform makes it easier for secrecy to occur. Engaging in cybersex or infidelity can look like an individual is working when in reality they are not. However, the act of infidelity occurring on the internet also makes it easier to find. Suspicious partners may seek out and find evidence from their partner's affairs online. When looking at internet usage and infidelity between sexes, we find that women and men view the act and degree of infidelity differently. Some individuals find that internet infidelity is characterized by solely sexual chemistry, whereas others believe that it is a combination of both sexual components and emotional ones. Similarly, some populations believe an emotional connection will lead to a face-to-face meeting, which can be increasingly stressful. The act of infidelity has been narrowed down to three forms: sexual, emotional, and pornographic. Infidelity, whether or not it occurs on the internet, is real and leaves detrimental consequences for partners and families. Though population differences regarding infidelity are true, it is found that women are more likely to view more behaviors as supporting infidelity than men. Sexual relationships are more often validated and treated as not an act of infidelity, as there is no emotional connection established. Historically, men are more likely to view a sexual relationship as infidelity, whereas women would be more upset by the establishment of another emotional connection. Nonetheless, the effects of internet infidelity have similar consequences as if the adultery was committed in real life. Those who engage in internet infidelity are likely to proceed with offline ones as well, and this act can become increasingly upsetting as one ages. As previously discussed, pornography use can lead to increased tension in relationships and manifests itself in manners such as diminished trust, lack of sexual exclusivity, and promiscuity. With the availability of websites that are primarily dedicated to supplying such videos, it makes accessing these features a lot easier. Looking at findings, pornography is more common among men than women, and most individuals are more likely to use this alone than with partners. When in a relationship, if a partner is engaging in pornographic material, it can diminish the other partner's sexual pleasure and make them believe that sexual pleasure lacks affection. Affection when engaging in sexual intimacy is a vital aspect of gaining trust and increasing pleasure, and pornography takes this aspect away. Though pornography usage can be considered infidelity, when both partners are aware of the usage and are mutually okay with it, pornography can be used as a way to increase sexual satisfaction among partners. Sexual relationships are a major factor in deteriorating marital relationships and is a cause of relationship distress. Sexuality is the primary distinguisher and shaper of romantic relationships, though it does not have to include intercourse. Actions such as kissing or cuddling can reinforce sexual intimacy and increase overall sexual satisfaction to similar degrees. In both dating and married couples, those who are satisfied with their sex lives are also more likely to report being satisfied in their relationships. Maintaining intimacy even as the time in the relationship progresses can enhance relationships and strengthen intimacy and bonds between partners. Viewing erotic films together increases sexual activity for a short amount of time and increases desire to be closer to one another and their sexual competence. This form of exposure together can promote positive body image, sexual satisfaction, and competence between partners. It is crucial to stress that these benefits are only likely to be positive when both partners partake, as individual use of pornography can lead to more dysfunction and unwanted erotic climates in a relationship. Dependent on multiple cultural, social, and personal factors and experiences, pornography can mean different things to different individuals. Thereby, it is necessary to evaluate personal beliefs regarding this medium. With texting becoming quickly one of the most used forms of interpersonal communication, it comes with many benefits and risks. About 20 to 30% of teens and young adults have reported sexting, which is sending sexually explicit pictures or images. Sexting itself is not an illegal act when it involves two consenting adults. Before anyone engages in this form of communication, it is crucial that both parties have consented to this. Coercion is the use of persuasion to convince someone to do something they originally don't want to do. Whether this be done through threats or asking multiple times even though the original response was no, sexting by a result of coercion is not consensual. If this interaction occurs between two minors or one minor and one adult, this becomes an illegal act. Sexting itself can also enhance insecure attachments among individuals in relationships. The two insecure attachments involved in this are anxious and avoidant attachment. Those with anxious attachment usually present with a demonstrated desire for closeness and a fear of separation. They are more likely to seek approval from others or risk feeling distressed. Those with an avoidant attachment fear intimacy and will choose independence over establishing an intimate connection. When used properly, phones and the internet can be used to connect people and sustain relationships, increasing bonds and intimacy. When utilized in certain circumstances or with those that have insecure attachment, it can leave more uncertainty and more vulnerability for partners. Sexting may be used among those with an anxious attachment style to gather reassurance from their partner. They hope their partner is still emotionally invested in them and their relationship. Though there is no significance between avoidant attachment styles and sexting, it may be used as a form of casual sex to avoid physical intimacy. Consensually, it can increase sexual pleasure for those in relationships. However, it proves to increase attachment disorders and its symptoms and be harmful to those who are not securely attached. Since women are more likely to have an anxious attachment when it comes to sex, they are more likely to use sexting as a way of ensuring their partner is still emotionally invested or to decrease tension. Sexting as a means to reduce tension or avoid intimacy can be detrimental to the relationship that is being established. Looking at some of these differences is vital to understanding both interpersonal and personal relationships. We can utilize some of this research to better grasp our own intrinsic beliefs. It is important to note, however, that some of this research has been geared towards more specific backgrounds, more women than men, college students, or older generations, so not all of these findings can or should be generalized to the entire population. There's still a lot to learn from how the internet is impacting the world of dating and romantic relationships. With all positive benefits come negative impacts, and vice versa. The primary conclusions that have resulted from all of these studies show that we need to look at our own attachment styles, preferences, romantic beliefs, and our differences with our potential partners. We need to be able to find a way to communicate with our partner in a way that best suits each other. Utilizing I statements will allow the individual to communicate wants, needs, and conditions that support emotional and sexual intimacy. Coming from trial and error, empathy, and compromise, we should be able to make the best of a temporary or primarily online romantic relationship with another person.